Mic check, mic check. Okay, I think we are going to go ahead now. So for those who are joining us on Teams, they're actually going to be transferred over to watch it on the YouTube, and then they're going to be still on the Teams to submit questions that they might have. Okay, I apologize once again for the technical difficulties. One of the problems with running a virtual AGM, particularly because this is the first one and we still have lots to learn. Okay, so going back to the item, so item 3, approval of the agenda. Be it resolved that the board approves the agenda as presented. Can I have a mover for that item? Jordan. Can I have a seconder? Charlie. Okay. Are there any other points of discussion on this item? I'm not seeing any, so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Okay, thank you. You can put them down. All those opposed, please raise your placards. Okay, not seeing any there. It is. Okay, so moving on to the next item on our agenda, so that's the approval of the minutes. Sadly, due to clerical error, the minutes of the previous meetings will not be approved at this meeting. Instead, they will be reviewed by the incoming board, made public, and then approved at a future AGM. The recordings of the previous annual general meeting are still available on the Your WUSA YouTube channel if you wish to review them. Okay, I think they're just trying to catch up from the previous vote. I'm waiting for a thumbs up from Pratik. Okay, yeah. Okay. So next on our agenda is item 5. I would like to call upon Anthony to amend portions of his submitted motion.
Of the mover, Daniel Wang has failed to meet this high standard of WUSA directors. And another point too, and as in the opinion of the mover, Daniel Wang has repeatedly made unrealistic promises in campaign posters. Thank you.
Sounds good. So just to clarify, so we're amending some of the whereas statements in the details of the original motion, and those will be updated to the ones which I think are going to be they'll be in the actual document themselves, but changing them from essentially, I don't have them in front of me. So changing the wording from, whereas WUSA directors should be of good moral character and sound judgment, whereas Daniel Wang has failed to meet this high standard of a WUSA director, and as Daniel Wang has repeatedly made unrealistic promises and campaign posters, it'll be turned into, whereas WUSA directors should follow the code of conduct as outlined in the WUSA Board Policy Manual and Ontario Not-for-Profits Act, whereas it is believed that Daniel Wang has violated sections of the code of conduct, and whereas the mover believes that Daniel Wang made unrealistic promises in campaign posters. Okay? So that will then be motioned by Anthony there. Can I confirm that with a thumbs up? Sounds good. And seconded by Amber Scott. Can I, another thumbs up? Okay. So I'd like to call first upon Logan to maybe give some more details. Sorry, we'll call him to the front.
Can I take the big boy one?
Use my mic.
repeat, so when a vote happens, are people allowed to have their votes noted?
Generally speaking, based on the size of this meeting, not usually, no. You usually just get a numerical for and against, just to deal with the scale is generally the precedent.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't know if I wasn't paying attention. Does the mover not get first speaking turn, or was that given?
I thought it was agreed upon beforehand to give. Oh, so my apologies, yes. So if you're wanting to speak first.
Yes, I thought that the mover should get first speaking.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As both a MAFSOC and WUSA member, I was amused when I saw posters around campus that said three things: free food, better co-op, and lower tuition. On one hand, they reflected student concerns and, dare I say, priorities, but on the other hand, I thought it unrealistic as the university sets the tuition rates, and WUSA has been calling for lower tuition for, I believe their official position has been up for years. It was slightly less amusing when those posters propelled a candidate to victory over candidates who had sound promises and plans behind them. It was significantly less amusing when I found out that the candidate behind those posters also ran for MAFSOC president after, and was removing posters from their opposing candidates and denying, I think this has gone testing, and denying the fact that they removed the posters initially. I have attached a document to the meeting agenda that has the MAFSOC election committee's opinions on the matter and a MAFSOC council meeting agenda that covers this. I believe these events would have been reflected in the WUSA election results had they happened 2 weeks earlier, but however, they happened when they did. I believe it shows a lack of sound judgment and do not think the candidate in question is suitable to represent me as a Waterloo undergraduate student. Therefore, I think that the facts are clear and this issue is worth discussing. Thank you.
Thank you. Amber, technically you would get the right to speak second. Are you okay just passing that along? Thank you. Okay, I will pass it on to Logan here.
All right. Thank you, Rory. Hi, everyone. So I'm Logan Batts, and I'm the current MATSOC president. I was asked to speak just on the sake of elections with MATSOC. So MATSOC Council held our March 6th meeting in which the appeal of Daniel Wang was discussed. The minutes are all confidential, and regardless of ratification, they're still confidential, unfortunately. So I cannot discuss them. I can discuss the decision council made. So just for context, in the MATSOC election, Daniel Wang received 22 demerit points, 11 of which were for major contravention against policy for taking down posters, and 11 of which for lying and misleading the elections committee. So MATSOC Council had made the decision to strike the lying and misleading the elections committee from the actual decision. There you go, that's the word. And then the 11 demerit points for major contravention of policy were struck to 8. So there was no longer a disqualification in the terms of the election. And that's the general outcome, if anyone has any questions.
I'm gonna let Jordan ask his question first because I saw his hand first, so go ahead. Okay. If you're wanting to ask a question, do you mind coming and lining up at the microphone potentially? Or Jordan, you have one now, so you can go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the question was just for some justification of moving it from 11 to 8. Presumably there's something that changed the mind of the MASSOC Council, so it would be informative for us to know what that was so we can make decisions accordingly.
You want me to respond to that, Logan? Okay.
We'll figure it out eventually, right? There you go. All right. As I mentioned, any minutes and therefore any discussion regarding the actual decision are confidential. So no.
I'm going to let Charlie go now. case he had a question, and then
You might answer the exact same way you just answered, but just wondering about, like, is there concrete evidence that he did take down posters in the math buildings? Just like if you have any evidence of that.
So I believe it's referenced in Anthony's submission as well, is the EC did make a report, which is public, which covers everything in there. I guess I can't really necessarily speak to how council feels about it because that is within the minutes, but that is there. There was evidence from special constables of camera footage of him taking down posters. There were 2 for sure. The rest I cannot comment on because it's confidential, as I mentioned.
yep, go ahead.
Point of privilege, can Logan repeat that louder, please? I wasn't able to hear it from the back.
Sounds good. Logan, do you mind repeating that?
What part in particular?
Your last 2 sentences,
Sorry.
let's say.
Last 2 sentences. So, sorry, do you mind? What's the question again? I was asking for evidence. You said the
Okay.
Yes. So, as I mentioned within Anthony's report, or within Anthony's submission, there was the Elections Committee report from our CRO, which did have evidence of Daniel Wang taking down posters from security footage. There were 2 posters for sure, but the rest I cannot comment on given that everything else is confidential.
Sounds good. Is this a question for Logan? Okay, I do have Daniel next on the speakers list, so I'm going to pass it over to him if he is wanting to speak to anything.
Rory, can I go to the front?
Yep.
Hello? Does it work? Okay. Well, now that it's amended, it's slightly different, but I think the essence is more or less the same as what it was published earlier. Like President Batson said, I can't really disclose. Closer? I can't really disclose a lot of the information from the Elections Committee because it is confidential. But I will say that there were definitely things that could have been done better on my part, as well as the Elections Committee. The report itself was hastily written. It was pretty inaccurate. And on top of that, it really just blew the events out of proportion. And the really important thing is, even though it is confidential, in the end, it did win the appeal and was reduced to 8 demerit points instead of 22 and no longer disqualified. Speaking to Anthony's kind of over-promising for WUSA and Matt's Law campaign, I'll start with WUSA. I think personally it's important for us to set a high bar for WUSA, for what it can do for students, because if you ask the typical student, either one, they don't know what WUSA is, second of all, they don't care, or they think WUSA does nothing. So I think by aiming high, there really is a point for us to push for WUSA to actually care about student advocacy and to put that at the forefront of our focus, which is, although it does a lot more than just student advocacy, it is a nonprofit, and our goal for WUSA should be representing all student voices. Aside from that, just by aiming high, kind of analogous to things like job applications or university applications, you want to push high because at the end of the day, by putting in the effort for these really ambitious goals, even if you are unsuccessful, you're at a much better place than where you started if you aim low. So I think inherently there's nothing wrong with trying to, change the status quo, go for these ambitious goals. And I'm ready to put in the time and effort to make sure that it does happen. On top of that, I really haven't been given the chance to even prove myself or take any step towards achieving these promises. So it's really unfair for someone to come up at me and say, in my opinion, you're lying and overpromising, because I didn't have a single chance to take any steps towards achieving any of my promises. And I do have plans that I hope to work on in the next year to make sure that student voices are heard and that these issues are addressed to the best of our abilities. Aside from that, though, he seems to be, Anthony, fixated on a lot of the posters, which, again, they were meant to be short and sweet. A part of that is that the point of posters is to catch someone's attention. I'm not going to write a whole essay on them. And unfortunately, he kind of fixated on those where my full detail of my platform was available on the Vote.WUSA website, which did explain in more depth what my specific goals and plans of attack were. Moving on to kind of his idea that I repeatedly make unrealistic promises in campaign posters. First of all, for the MATSOC campaign, even in his opinion, he claims that it is, again, unrealistic, unobtainable, but I think if President Batson wants to speak on this later on, I personally believe that it is more than reasonable and very realistic. My MATSOC campaign was PD reworks, mental health, and free food. For the first one, PD rework, that's something that the MATSOC president that I've seen work on in the past, as in they work a lot on advocacy. And although it's not exactly in the job description of president, they do work a lot with the other executives and kind of have a fill-in role and generally direct the society in a certain direction. On top of that, this is my second term with MATSOC. I have more or less a decent understanding of how some things work, especially with the executives. For instance, there is precedence that MATSOC has done great things for co-op, including removing work term reports. That was something done by council a while back. And I think that's enough to show that if we do try our best to achieve these goals, it's more than possible. And I shouldn't be called for making unrealistic promises repeatedly just because I want to achieve something that students actually want. For the next point about mental health, I honestly don't even know what's wrong with that. Like, MATSOC already does mental health events. We have therapy animals, we have paint nights. We also have, starting this term, I believe, a mental health budget under the presidential budget, which is meant to run these mental health events for math students. So again, I don't see any unrealistic promises in that regard that Anthony claims I do. And last one, free food, which I think is just honestly kind of funny because MATSOC gets up tons of free food already. We give out free food during Welcome Week, we have Pi Day, and as part of my work on the First Year Affairs Committee, we run first year study sessions for first year math students, and at each of these events, along with like most of MATSOC events and club events, there is free food. And the funny part is that Anthony himself showed up to one of these events last Tuesday, and yet he's here saying I'm making unrealistic promises, which is kind of unwarranted and it feels personal. So I would have preferred if he reached out to me personally rather than just kind of going on here, making these bold statements against my character. Last up, just kind of going off on the first and second whereas. A lot about this is the perception of Reddit and online community. And again, when people get hated on for certain things, it becomes really an echo chamber of just hate. And all the bad things get brought up. Nothing good you've ever done really gets shown out there, which is really unfair for students, especially those who run for student government. On top of that, it really blows things out of proportion and out of context, which makes things seem a lot worse than what they were. Especially if you take a look at the poster example. The end result is very different than what the initial Reddit post said. And I think most people don't know that because that's just how the way online hate works. People focus on the bad things and don't really see the reality or see the full picture. I really did not expect this to happen. Like, again, I just wanted to be more involved with student government. This is my second term, MATSOC. I was a counselor in first term in 2A, and now I'm also a counselor and board of directors. And I'm also volunteer a lot of my time on various committees, especially my first year affairs committee, which again runs a lot of study events, and we're planning an event to happen soon for the first years. So again, like, I will try my best to attain these goals, and it just seems really unfortunate that it's led to the point where I'm being harassed for an election, especially considering the harassment started after the election was over. So it seems that it's just really, this is a personal matter, and I'm taking a lot of mental health issues because of this. And it's disappointing to see how things have turned out, and I will try my best to work towards these goals and hope that, moving forward, WUSA does more for students, and that people are like more willing to run for student positions, because no one should really go through what I've been going through, which is very unfortunate and unfair.
Which stand this one might not. Does not. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to maybe start us off with some, if people are raising any questions specifically for Daniel, and then we'll have him answer them, and then we'll continue on. But first, I think there was a point of order that was raised. So I'm not sure if you're wanting to. Sorry. Yeah, Anthony raised a point of order just with regards to, he can probably speak better to it than I can. If you're wanting to come up and maybe come to the microphone up here just so that people online can hear. Or, there we go, Mike has a.
I believe the following to be a point of order. Mr. Wang mentioned that the election committee's report was slightly inaccurate and was hastily put together. But I am here to ask him if he takes issue with any specific part of the report or its conclusions. Like, do you dispute any of the camera footage or like the chat logs?
That is a question for Daniel, so.
Could you repeat the question again? I forgot already. You can just say it out loud. Well, without going into too many details, because most of the stuff is still confidential pending ratification, I think, tomorrow. Yes. But the stuff that if I were to dispute, would be, I guess, kind of confidential. So, for your question specifically, when I mentioned about the inaccuracies in the report, first of all, there was definitely other people messing with the election. And without going into too many confidential details, I was not here during reading week, and I did prove to council that I was not here. So they basically implied that I ripped down 30 posters, none of which are true. I wasn't here, so how am I supposed to rip them down, I guess? And without saying too much, there's a reason why I went from 22 demerit points down to 8. So for answer your questions directly, for the constable footage and the chat logs, it's disappointing to see that, chat logs I had in confidence with our CRO, who I consider was my friend, but I guess not, but whatever, was used against me. I don't deny it, obviously. I just did not think it was referring to me, because again, it was 2 posters. Did not know where the other 28 came from. And for the footage, there was footage of 1, and I came forward with the other one at council because there was no camera there. However, I did tell them that the other one was also me. I hope that answers your question.
I believe the report was investigating a total of 25 poster removals, and just to confirm, you denied 3 of them, right?
No, I took down 2, and I think I made that pretty clear to you, and that's the exact thing I said to council, and that was most likely the reason I was in the room, but that was most likely the reason why I was reduced to 8, because there were, I think, over 30. A couple of them were plant ops, and the majority of them were during reading week, which I was not here. I had. Okay,
And finally, one more thing. So during your speech or statement, you seem to be addressing stuff about your MAFSOC posters, but I believe my motion is very clear that it refers to your WUSA election posters. So like, around 5 minutes of that was just unrelated.
I can't see the thing because I'm freaking blind, but let me take a picture. I don't know. Sorry, I'm blind. I need to read your motion again because I don't remember what it said.
In my opening statement, I believe I mentioned this exact quote: free food, better co-op, lower tuition.
Okay, I'm assuming these, before we can clarify, these amendments are to his original motion. The 2 whereas. Oh, okay.
Those were included as additional details in the original motion. They were not actually the motion themselves. The only motion that is on the table is be it resolved, Daniel Wang is removed from the list of directors, et cetera, et cetera.
So the original motion, the original motion notice is basically void now, right? That's a new motion.
It's not void. It's just stating that it is Anthony's opinion, I guess, that those posters were the way they are. Sort of.
Yeah, so regards to WUSA posters, first of all, I prepared this in light of your original motion, which, you said I repeatedly make unrealistic promises. I try my best to make realistic promises because when for the ACM all candidates meeting for WUSA took place, we weren't exactly told what we can and can't do. Someone online was questioning about, the approach I would take to fulfill these promises. And it would make more sense for, all this hate I'm getting right now to happen during the election, because that's when voting happens. And for those, I did defend my stance and my plan to move forward, especially because, again, this is advocacy. There is never really a guarantee on whether or not it will succeed. But as WUSA, the voice for all undergrads, I think it's more than reasonable, considering it's already sort of in our long-term 5-year plan, to continue keeping these priorities important and not to forget about these issues that affect all students or most students. Yeah, hope that answers your question.
Okay, it's on. So as CRO, as the current MassDoc Chief Returning Officer, I'd like to respond to what Daniel said about the MassDoc election and the evidence. I find. Say your name. Sorry. Hello, I'm Grace. I am the current Chief Returning Officer, or CRO, of MassDoc. And as CRO, I'm responding to one of Daniel's previous comments. I find your comments about the MassDoc election and evidence to be out of order because the MassDoc CRO, as defined by our MassDoc policies, is meant to treat everyone fairly and impartially, regardless of whether or not they are friends with the candidate in question. I would like that. I hope that this will be taken into consideration.
Okay, so I'm going to open it up to the entire room. If you have any other comments, questions, concerns, I know that.
Is it on?
I believe that this gentleman here actually did raise his hand previously, so I will give it to him first.
We'll do microphone lines now.
Okay. If you have questions, please line up by the microphones. Questions, statements? Yeah.
Hi, my name is Julian. I was one of the candidates who ran for the MatSoc election. And I would just like to say, throughout the process, I was thoroughly disappointed by the egregious behavior of the elections committee. I'm not going to name names, but never before have I seen someone run for election and run the election at the same time, making rules up on the spot, and just frankly coming up with lies to slander multiple different candidates. And furthermore, there were also certain events that happened on the confession page.
Sorry, can we stop for a second? There are point of orders. Yeah, point of order?
I believe this to be a point of order. I'm not on the elections committee, but I know that the elections committee members, they're required to recuse themselves when making decisions on a candidate that they're running against. So what Julian is saying is patently false. The elections committee isn't a subset of the candidates deciding rules. It's a board of impartial math students that run the election and ensure its fairness.
Sorry,
Where is he going to go next? Is he going to question the legitimacy of the WUSA elections? Is he going to say, WUSA election rules are fake too? They're arbitrary and made up on the spot.
I'm going to stop you there. I do not believe that was a point of order. Just to clarify what a point of order is if you think that there is some fundamental rule that has been broken with regards to Robert's rules. It is not just another speaking term. You do not just get to jump ahead of people. That's happened a few times now. I've sort of let it happen, so I'm going to sort of try and put my foot down more. Grace, do you have a point of order as well?
It's on. Okay. Yep, Grace again, MatSoc CRO. I find this to be completely out of order. We're discussing the WUSA elections. Why are you bringing MatSoc into this? Furthermore, if you would like to discuss your grievances with the EC and the CRO, you're welcome to do so outside of this meeting. However, this is not the relevant place to discuss your concerns. Please discuss the WUSA election and the candidate and the WUSA candidate that the motion is about. Thank you.
This is entirely relevant because information provided by the election committee of MatSoc is being used as evidence against a certain individual here. Furthermore, allow me to finish my point before. I can't go into too many details about this, but there was an individual either on the election committee or associated with the election committee who posted a post on a confession wall online harassing myself and another individual upon absolutely baseless grounds with information that was near slanderous. And as such, I'm bringing this up simply to let people know that the elections committee and some of their actions and keep that in consideration. And frankly, I read the report as well, and much of the information on there was frankly absolutely slanderous.
What's your point of order?
He said that a member of the elections committee or someone in it
involved with it, not in it.
Involved in it made a racist comment about you on.
I never said racist. Where did you get that word from?
The
comment still stands.
I said slanderous, not racist.
Okay.
Catherine, no, you can't.
Once again, I will just hammer back the point. I've never seen someone
Stop.
run for election
Stop.
and run the election at the
Stop,
same time.
Please, sir. Okay, on to our next person. Go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Abhiraj Lamba. So I want to preface this by saying I do not know and have never met Director-elect Wang before today. What I do want to say is there is a procedure for WUSA to consider election issues and everything to go to the election committee, and as far as I understand, an allegation was not brought against Director-elect Wang earlier, and also considering someone's conduct in a separate election is not what the general meeting is supposed to be for. As far as Director-elect Wang's promises are concerned, I think the voters had the time to consider whether the promises were realistic or not. People had the opportunity to raise that earlier, and with that, I want to object to the consideration of this motion. And as I believe that is a non-debatable motion that goes into effect, that goes for voting immediately.
It is the amendment itself.
Mm-hmm.
So you're rejecting the amendment?
There's no
I'm rejecting the motion. I'm objecting to considering this motion, which I believe requires a 2/3 majority, but it goes into debate without. So it goes into a vote without debate.
You're allowed to say it at the end of your term. So you had a speaking
Okay.
I think you have to, like, if
Yeah.
you want to,
I'll just come
if you
back.
want to call it, yeah.
I mean, I can technically interrupt the speaker for that, so.
Yeah.
So I can technically interrupt the speaker for that. So theoretically, let's just assume I might.
So you're calling the question, sorry?
No, I'm calling the question would mean whether we're voting on this. I'm objecting to considering this motion at all.
Okay. So that is the motion on the floor to reject this. If it is non-debatable, then we will go ahead right to voting. Yes. He does need a seconder.
I don't.
You don't?
I don't need a seconder. I don't need a debate. It needs a two-third vote, but that's because of the vote I
Okay. The chair is going to call a 3-minute recess while I consult the Robert's rules, and we will be back in 3 minutes. I have the book. It's right here.
Reject consideration is a
Okay, sounds good. So we are just putting the vote together for the people online. So we are going to go ahead with that vote in 1 minute. Okay, everyone, if you could please find your seats. So the motion that has been raised is to the objection of the motion that is on the table. Okay, so just for some clarity, if you are voting in favor of this motion, you are voting for its removal from consideration. Okay, and if you're voting against it, it will keep up and we will go back to speaking terms. Okay, so for this motion, it does require a majority, so it will require 2/3. And so I am going to call the question, I guess. So all those in favor of disregarding this motion, please raise your placards. And if you have proxies, make sure that you're fanning those out as well. Okay. Thank you. You can lower your placards now. Okay, you can lower your placards. Okay, all those opposed, please raise your placards. Okay, Okay, sounds good. So that motion is defeated, and so we are back into speaking terms. If you have any questions, comments, whoa. Okay. So the official vote is 104 noes to 84 yeses. So the motion is defeated. We are back into speaking turns. If you have any questions, comments, please come up to the front and line up again.
Hello everyone, my name is Matthew and I'm actually a MathSoc student, WUSA student and everything. This seems kind of strange bringing up a MathSoc dirty laundry at a WUSA meeting and whatnot, though, but given the WUSA election happened before the MathSoc election and given that Daniel was not elected or whatever in the MathSoc elections, I think he was punished or whatever for his whatever happened and whatnot. I don't think we should be taking into account his actions during the MathSoc race with WUSA. Even though, yes, that can lay on his character or whatever, I feel his punishment was taken out during the elections, and MathSoc has had troubles in the past with elections and whatever and all of that. And yeah, I don't know if we can just cancel somebody just because of these allegations and what. This is a free and democratic society, and if you get elected on your promises, you have to take the consequences with your voters after the day. So I feel I can say I did not vote for Daniel just because of the free food and stuff, though, but I took that into consideration when I was voting for my executive directors, though, but I don't think I would want, I don't want to like cancel someone just because they, you know, they said something I didn't agree with or whatever. So in a free and democratic society, we should let Daniel stay. And yeah, just wanted to point that out, and hopefully democracy wins the day. Thank you.
All right. Hi everyone again. So I'm Logan Batson. I'm again current MathSoc president. So just a couple comments from me. I think the biggest thing with this is that we've obviously seen a lot of stuff regarding WUSA within regards to WUSA reform, the fact that WUSA needs to sort of go in the right direction. It's been a big thing on everyone's minds. I think the biggest thing that came from it was the passing of Stephanie, the former president, which is obviously very touchy subject for everyone, and it's very unfortunate that things ended up the way they did. But with that said, I feel like, personally, a lot of the stuff that's been going on within regards to Daniel Wang and WUSA follows the similar path that we're heading with how Stephanie felt, in the sense that Stephanie felt outcasted, felt that she was separated from her peers, separated from the students she was trying to represent, and that's what we're essentially doing right now with Daniel Wang. Not to say that the outcome will be the same, but is something that we need to consider. The student representatives and the student leaders are only as good as the community that they back and the community that supports them. And if we are rejecting people and pushing people away it gives less reason for someone to want to be a student leader. And in Waterloo, where voter turnout hasn't been great, although I know this turnout was better, it's something that needs to be looked at more appropriately and not looked at in this lens of just attacking someone and looking at it in the sake of he didn't make the right promises, so we hate him. So that's it.
This will be your third speaking term, I believe, so that will be your last, just so you're aware.
Besides the closing, right? Besides the closing, as the mover of the motion?
We don't do closing.
Oh. I would like to bring up several new points. Well, just one new point. In a free and democratic society, when someone messes with an election, we typically do it by disqualifying them from the election. However, it is my impression that Daniel Wang did not face any disqualification from the MAFSOC elections. Instead, he voluntarily chose to quit. I think Mr. Wang has focused on trying to refute the unrealistic promises part of my motion, but I believe we are losing sight of the main event.
Point of order. I'm just going to remind people, I haven't been doing it as much, but we are speaking to the motion. So you usually either address the motion itself or you address the chair. You usually don't call people out by name when you are talking, just so everyone is aware. Go ahead, sorry.
The motion refers to a high-stakes student election on campus, and the candidate mentioned in there was selectively taking down his opponent's posters. Moreover, when questioned about this, he initially denied it. I believe one quote was, "Who could hate MAFSOC enough to do this?" In the end, MAFSOC Elections Committee contacted special constables and got camera footage, and they saw that the candidate himself was taking down his opponent's posters. I do not believe that someone who goes around taking down opponent posters is fit to represent me as a Waterloo undergraduate student. And thus, as I feel this issue is divisive, I motion for a vote by private ballot at the end.
Okay. Are there any other people who are wanting to speak at this time? Please come forward.
Hello. I am a member of the science faculty, not the math faculty. I'm here specifically voting on agenda items. I have no specific connection to any candidate or member of MAFSOC whatsoever. From my perspective and the perspectives of others with me, what is a question for us is not at all parts of like campaign promises, that sort of thing. We don't really care about what those are at all, really, at least from our perspective. There have been allusions to what is contained in the MAFSOC ruling to being false or a gross misrepresentation of the truth, namely ripping down posters. So, if someone has information that they can share that is at all relevant to, how many posters were taken down, what actually happened, okay? If someone is able to enlighten this assembly about that, that would be greatly appreciated. The second thing would be procedural alternatives. I know we're voting about this right now. I open the floor to someone who is well informed of the workings of WUSA to suggest an alternative to this vote that is more in line with the written procedures of WUSA in its rules, so the more proper procedure, if someone is aware of that. So on those two fronts, something more consistent to what actually happened. There seems to be a lot of claims either way. I'd like something that is definitive and not just, this is confidential. If someone who's not part of MAFSOC, but, just more information. Come on, guys. Okay.
Hello. I am a double degree student. I know a little bit of finance. Let's talk finance. At MAFSOC, our executives generally make about $500 of compensation for any term in which they serve on the MathSoc executive team. I believe for board it's about the same. At WUSA, directors make $1,000 a month, roughly, according to the director job specifications on wusa.ca. Combine that over a year term, that is $12,000. Someone brought up canceling, and I'm not directly addressing the person, but rather the idea that we are simply canceling Daniel Wang. It's not that. It's the question of this. Do we want to give Daniel Wang $12,000 of student funds? I do not.
I move to call the question. Sorry, that was loud.
Okay, Alex has seconded it. So the question has been called. And so what this means is that we are going to have a first vote on whether we continue debate or if we go to the voting period. Okay? So this debate is this motion is non-amendable, so I will go right into calling the question. All those in favor of calling the question, which just to be aware. Okay, we'll wait for the online form. So, yeah, so just to be clear, if you're voting in favor of this motion, it does not mean that you are in favor of the motion that is on the floor, but instead that you would like to go to voting and stop debate. If you're voting against, you want the debate to continue, and you want, yeah. Question, sure. Yeah, so it'll be a closed ballot. That's a non-debatable motion. So it'll be a form that you will be having to fill out. If you have proxies, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be emailing Matthew Schwartz with your student ID number and the number of proxies you have. And then we're probably going to take around 5 minutes to vote. And then after which we'll probably continue on the agenda while they tabulate the votes from that private ballot, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're voting on calling the question, which once again I remind you is just to end debate. All those in favor, please raise your placards to end debate.
Can we go against first?
Sure. You lower your placards. All those against? Perfect, okay. So debate is now ended. So I'm going to call Matthew up if he is available to maybe give, okay. We're going to give him 2 more minutes to finish up the form, but then we're going to distribute the form to everyone. Okay? So I'm going to call a recess for that 2-minute period. Please talk amongst yourselves. Gotta get his, okay, thank you. Okay, everyone, I'm gonna pass you over to Matthew Shorts, who's gonna explain voting.
Hello, hello. If whoever is controlling our lovely projector could go to either refresh the page or look for my QR code. The way this is going to work is you're going to fill out a form that I've made through Microsoft Forms. You're going to scan the QR code. It's a little ugly, but it's there. On there, you yourself are going to vote for, against, or abstain this item, and then you're going to put in your student number. If your student number has an error, we will be unable to count your vote. If you're holding proxies, instead, you're going to email me. My email address will be at the top of the form. It's mnschwar@wusa.ca. There is a specific line of text that you're going to put in the subject line that is also at the top of the form so that I know what it is. And then you're going to put your name, your student number, the number of proxy votes that are voting for, and the number of proxy votes that are voting against. And then with that information, you're going to email it to me. I see that there are questions. Catherine will fix it. It just has to be open to people from other organizations, Catherine. Yes. Is there a link to it? Catherine, if you open the live agenda, which, where do they access the live agenda? Fuck me. Mike will help you with a link. Go to Mike if you need a textual link. And if you have questions, I saw you. You should not be able to do so. Catherine, can they submit more than one response? Yes, because we're not tracking emails. You have to write your student number. If you write it twice, I'm going to be very unhappy with you. You don't have to write in the student number? There's no space for it? Give me a second. I am punished for my hubris. Did I have to put the student number in?
No, you didn't add it.
Oh, I didn't save it. No. Sorry. Student number. Required. I did not save the part that asks for your student number. It will be in there now. I apologize for the technical difficulties. You will fill it out. You will put in your student number. We will only count votes that have a unique student number associated. If you fill it out twice and put your student number in twice, I will not count it, so be careful. I hope that that answers all the questions. If you have a proxy, you're going to scan it and you're going to vote on there with your vote, and then you're going to email me just with your proxy votes. My email is at the top of the form. I really hope it's there anyway. Awesome, thank you. Yes. Give me a second, I'm going to come closer. I can't hear you. Yes. Do you have duplicate student numbers?
No, I'm just wondering.
Okay, if there are duplicate student numbers, I'm going to ignore all of them unless you come up and speak to me and say you made a really big mistake.
Okay, but like, could hypothetically someone fill out other people's?
No, because we will be checking it against people that are present in the room. I guess you're saying they could fill out the student number of someone else in the room. You typed in the wrong student number.
And then by the time I realized it was like.
Okay, go type your actual student number.
I get that, but you like cancel out the other.
Not at the moment. Oh, jeez. Yes. If there are duplicates and you are someone that is present, I will double check with you. So you know what? Don't worry about the duplicates. If somebody is filling in your student number, I will find out and I will deal with it. Just if you do it by accident, please let us know. It'll help us out. But that eliminates any chance of fraud. Yes. Where is that meeting link? It is at WUSA.ca. Go to the general meeting page. There should be a call-in link. Am I correct? Catherine, the meeting link is on our website, right? The meeting link is general meeting page? Yeah. Yeah, go to the general meeting page where you would have seen the agenda. Link is in there. Or scan the big QR code. Any other issues? This is my first time doing this. Thank you for coming along in the journey. Thank you. We'll be doing it when we count. I'm going to close it first. Yeah, I won't count anyway. Let's do that. What's the threshold to pass this? It is, we're looking for a majority threshold to pass this, so 50-50. Are there any other issues? Technical, personal, moral? Awesome. If there are no more issues, I'm going to set a timer then. I'm going to say we have 3 more minutes for voting, and I'm going to get my phone and start that timer. You have a hand up. I'll deal with that first. I apologize? You're waiting to join the meeting? Are you signing in with your uWaterloo account? Okay. Mike, where'd you go? Could you help give, could you raise your hand for me? Her the link. Yeah, go for it. 3 minutes, please. All right, there is now 3 minutes left to vote. If you have an error, I'll deal with that, of course, but otherwise, that's when we will close the polls.
I'm gonna
do that after voting is done. So you mind if we do that just till after voting finishes, so that we don't have to go running when I need help answer problems?
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go row by row and invite rows up to say, are you finished voting? You're all finished in this row.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Don't say any other mob. Huh? Don't say any other.
A mob, you do?
Yeah, you can. And close the poll when Suzanne's time ends. Suzanne had the timer. I'm looking for Suzanne. She's the timer. She's over there. Oh, thank you. Where? How's the timer looking? 1 minute, 50 seconds. Okay. 1 minute left. Voting will close in 1 minute.
Can you tell people to wait for my invite to come up?
Please pay attention. Brian here will be going by and inviting people up to get food. Please wait for his invite so we can do this orderly and I can also identify anyone with issues, but please follow Brian's direction for food. 30 seconds to vote. Is anyone facing issues voting?
So I talked to Nick about the concerns.
Voting is now closed. Catherine, please close the form. If you have not voted, for the most part, I'm going to say too bad. Thank you very much. and continue to follow Brian's directions to line up for food. And rest assured, there will be enough, I hope, but we're going to deal with it in order, and nobody's going to miss out. Thank you. I will also say that with that, we're going to take a quick recess while you grab your food and eat, so we aren't going to miss out on any portion of the meeting, during which we will count the votes. Hello, 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 everybody. I am here now. Hopefully you all have gotten your food, and if there's anyone else that can hear me. But I'm going to announce the results that we have here. One thing I want to say first is that we need to vet these results, considering both number one, that the student numbers associated haven't voted more than once. I think that's been for the most part done. But we also need to ensure that the student numbers that were used are of people that are attending the meeting and not, say, someone else, your friend's student number, someone else that's not either here in person or here online. So I'm going to give you now our preliminary numbers. We don't expect them to change much. I will add the asterisk that if by some miracle, maybe I won't use the word miracle, if by some cause they do, then that will obviously change. But as it stands, by a margin of in and around 30, I think, the motion has passed. So we'll be moving forward from there.
Thank you. I'm not sure if it'd be possible to maybe close the door to the bomber to prevent the music transferring in. We do not. We are moving on to the next one. What is your point of information? Sorry. Do you mind speaking at the microphone if you could, actually?
Sure, yeah. I have a point of information. So if this motion, because this motion directly affects the next one, so if this does end up changing, how do we plan on dealing with the way, like, the next 6.1 would have to change as well? Like, will there be like a
so I think we're going to go off
separate meeting for ratification, or?
I think we're going to go off the preliminary results. If it does change, then the future board will have the ability to reappoint Daniel Wang to his position. Okay? Does that answer your question? Is it another point of information? Then what is it? Okay. So then we are moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the election of the board of directors. Based on the results of the previous one, Daniel Wang's name will be removed from this list. And I believe, if it's not on there already, Nick Feifel's name will also have to be added. Okay, so going forward under the new motion, which is without Daniel Wang's name and with Nick's, can I have a mover for that item? Thank you, Tham. Can I have a seconder? I'll take Alex. Okay, are there any comments, questions, concerns with regards to this? Okay, I am not seeing any, so we are going to go right to the vote then. All those in favor? Well, I guess, we're going to have to wait. Apologies once again, we're going to have to wait for the online poll. So let me know, Catherine, when we are ready to go. Okay, we're ready? Okay. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Thank you. Okay, you can put them down now. All those opposed, please raise your placards. Not seeing any. Okay, so we'll give it a few minutes now for the online people, but I am probably going to call that as being passed. Sounds good, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is the imprint fee. So I'm going to first get a seconder for this motion, Aberrage. And then I'm going to invite Alex up to speak to first as the mover. And then, sorry, you have a point of order? Okay. Before 6.2.
Okay, sure.
Hmm? Yep.
Do I say anything?
She's making a motion to suspend the rules. So I think
Oh, go for it? Yeah, the motion. No, talk about why you want to. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think a lot of the things that we've been focusing on are very much like politics things, and I know that a lot of the people here came to talk about direct issues that impact us. So there's a lot of people who have come today to specifically vote on the gender affirming care coverage to be added to the insurance plan. So yeah, it's been almost like 2 hours, and I know people have to do stuff, but I also know that things take time. So what do everyone think?
Okay, so the motion is currently on the floor to suspend the rules and move item 9.5 above 6.2. We have a mover for that. Can I have a seconder? Can I have a name for a seconder, sorry? All I have is placards.
Remington.
Thank
Do
you.
you need a last name?
That would be nice.
ZHI.
Thank you. Okay. I believe this is debatable, so I will raise if there are any comments, questions. It's not? Okay, it's not debatable, so we will go right to voting then. So I will wait for Catherine. Yep. I got... Yes. So it's non-debatable. We do need a 2/3 vote, so it's be it resolved that we suspend the rules and move item 9.5 above item 6.2 on the agenda. Okay. Just waiting for the Okay. All those in favor of this motion, please raise your placards. Moving item 9.5 above item 6.2. Please raise them as high as you can, by the way.
Do you want me to count?
Okay. I think it's pretty clear. Please put your placards down. All those opposed? Seeing very few. I'm going to call it as being approved. Okay, so now we are moving on then to item 9.5. Can I have a seconder for this item? Take you again. Okay, so does Friday want to speak to the item, given that it is their motion?
Hi everyone, my name is Friday, and the issue that I wanted to talk about is gender affirming care. Specifically because I think it's really important that the insurance plan that is here to support all of us, support us where we really need it. And right now there is a huge need for gender affirming care. Be it that there is like provincial deficits, and stuff like that. We know that on campus, mental illness is a huge challenge. And WUSA is also in WUSA's interest is to like be inclusive of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Other student unions, like the U of T student union, does have gender affirming care coverage, and insurance companies had offered this since 2019. And yeah, transitioning is really great. Gender affirming care. There was actually a study that recently came out with over 90,000 participants, and 94% of people who voted said that their life was better after transitioning and that they were satisfied. So, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Is the seconder wanting to speak on the motion?
Hello everyone, my name is Remington. I am a trans student at the University of Waterloo. And I want to say that I feel extremely lucky that I'm able to access some gender affirming care through the university, that being hormone therapy. But there's a lot of stuff that's still not covered with our student insurance, nor is it covered by OHIP. Stuff like transitioning surgery, top surgery, bottom surgery, chest contouring, tracheal shaving. There's a lot of stuff out there that can greatly improve the lives of trans people. And with so many political attacks on the rights of trans people, especially trans youth, and so many attacks on access to gender affirming care, including, you know, the stabbing that happened here at our university last year, I believe that it is very important that WUSA supports its trans students and provides gender affirming care that has been scientifically proven to reduce suicide rates in trans people. Thank you.
Sounds good. Is there anyone else wanting to speak to this? If you don't mind just coming up. Sure thing. I would still ask that you come up if you don't mind, just so people online can hear.
Hi, yeah, totally agree that like trans affirming care is healthcare. It should be provided by university. Could you have any like clarifications on like what exactly would be included in your motion? I see that you wrote like comprehensive. What would be included? How would that work? Please.
Yeah, if you don't mind coming back up.
Yeah, so one of the attachments you will see is an example of the gender affirming care coverage provided by Student Care for the University of Toronto Student Union. So obviously it will be up to WUSA's board of directors to negotiate with Student Care the details of coverage, but the U of T one that they're already providing to a very similar school is just anything that's not covered by OHIP. And I believe there is also similar coverage at UBC. So there is precedents that the negotiators can work off of. And I also believe that WUSA should do consultations with gender affirming care providers in the area and trans students at the university to see what care is needed.
Okay, any other questions from people? Okay, not seeing any. We are going to move the question then. Catherine, please let me know when I'm ready to ask the question. Okay. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Sounds good. You can go ahead and lower them now. And all those opposed. Okay, so I'm going to take that as passed, and we will move back to item 6.2 on our agenda. Okay, so getting back to item 6.2, which is on the imprint fee. Currently, I still have down as Alex as the motioner and Abaraj as the seconder. You're still okay with that? So I will pass it over to Alex. So I'll read off the motion, just so everyone is aware, as the screen is, I think, currently being fixed on. So the motion on the floor is, be it resolved that the student publications fee be reduced by $1 to $5.40 and be reclassified as a compulsory fee.
Hey everybody, give me 2 seconds.
Just lost my page. My name's Alex. For those of you who don't know me, I'm one of the current directors here, so I will keep it short, sweet, and very fast. So, yes, thanks for reading that off, Rory. We believe that student publications are very universally important for all students. They're a core service that are offered. The ability to go out, pick up a magazine, and take a look into the student pulse on campus is something that should not go underappreciated or underfunded, which is part of the reason we're looking at this motion today. If this motion is to pass, Imprint would be operating officially at a deficit. This would also save the average student money, which means we wouldn't have to reallocate funds to keep Imprint going. It would be self-sufficient, self-sustainable. Yes, the transition from the newspaper to the magazine model has been incredibly successful. We've seen pickup rates go from, I believe it was around 20% to much higher, 60 or 70-ish, which is fantastic to see students actually getting out and reading Imprint. There was also a poll back, I believe it was 2 years ago, around 20-ish% of students, 12.6% of students said they are familiar with Imprint and been reading it. Now it's up to 63. That's without a doubt contributed to the fantastic magazines we have going now. So that is the background info on it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Alex. Abhiraj, are you wanting to speak to that?
Thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Abhiraj Lamba. I used to be the managing editor at Imprint last year. I've been involved with student journalism for a large part of my student career, and if you've known me, if you follow me on social media, if you've interacted with me, you know that I'm a huge advocate for for the importance of student media at Waterloo and at Canadian campuses at large. As part of which I've worked with student newspapers across the country, and what I'm here to say is that student media, I know people have their misgivings, people have their concerns, but student media, I just want to reiterate, is very important to our college campuses. No level of media at the country, except at times local media, is able to look at our communities, look at what's going on here, and prioritize issues which matter to us. At Imprint, we have brought attention to issues. We brought it when WUSA went through the new governance system and board meetings weren't public. Imprint was brought attention to that. When we had the really unfortunate hate-motivated stabbing earlier last year, we were the first people to get that coverage in the country. National newspapers, local newspapers were all based their reporting on ours. Student media has been vital here. Student media has been vital across other campuses. There've been hazing cases at University of Alberta, which was covered by the Gateway. There was one at Carleton, which was covered by the Charlatan. There was a sexual assault case at University of Toronto, which was covered by the Varsity, and we need these resources. In my time as a student journalist and as managing editor, I've seen that a large portion of people who are in our newsroom really care about getting this work done, to the point that we have done it for free. We've worked as underpaid, underappreciated, and overworked students who also have our other commitments, because we do care about the importance of student media. We care about what we need to do. But because of being underpaid, we've had to really prioritize what we can and can't cover. And this doesn't only affect us with real-time coverage of what we're doing. As a student newspaper, we're a newspaper of record for this campus. 20 years down the line, we people should be able to look at Imprint and see what was going on at Imprint in 2024, and us having to prioritize that. And regardless, we will always have to prioritize what's important, what's not. But with more resources, we can cover more things. We can ensure more things are covered. More people are aware of what's going on campus, be it social events, be it cultural events, be it news stories. With more resources, we would be able to take on investigations to see issues which are affecting students. so we're always covering majoring events, and we have to make sure that an independent record of them is maintained, and Imprint is there to do that. And at universities like ours, which don't have a journalism program, I want to really I really want to bring up what Imprint can do for the students who work at it, who volunteer at it, is that Imprint has taught me journalism. I'm working at the Toronto Star right now, and every bit of that is credited to me being able to get there was because of the Imprint. And it's really given me, it really made me understand how important student journalism is, how important the issues, and there's no denying that accountability is important for anything that you're paying for, and that's why I'm here to assure people that people at Imprint care about making sure that you are aware of what's going on, that you have independent journalism supporting you, and I just want to share, the drive is there, the drive is there, the commitment is there, the accountability is there. We just need the resources, and for the price of two iced coffees a year, you can support student media at campus. So I hope you vote for this motion. Thank you.
Sounds good. I see a hand. If it's a comment or question, I'd ask that you come to the front. If it's a point of order, I would say you can speak it out loud. Yeah, if anyone's wanting to come forward and speak, please go ahead.
So I can't necessarily speak to the goodness of Imprint or not. I just like to make an observation that if you go to that entrance there, the thing of math news is completely empty. If you go to that entrance there, the thing of the magazines is not as empty. I don't see why any fee would need to go from an optional fee to a mandatory fee if you are here preaching about the goodness of Imprint. I'm not judging your organization or the work you do. I just think it is not just to force upon the student body a compulsory fee like this.
Hello, can we hear me okay? Sure. My name is Evan, I'm one of the editors of Math News. Something I just wanted to point out is while this does represent an increase in, or a decrease in the fee for the average student, it does represent a sharp increase for the student who does not opt into the fee. Something that concerns me about this motion is that while Math News, a much smaller publication, raised its fee last term, about 95 cents. It came prepared to MathSoc's general meeting with a very detailed set of projected budgets for about a year ahead. We detailed pretty particularly how we plan to spend the money, where it was going to go, how much would be going to printing, production nights, and so on average. But I don't see any similar sort of documentation for Imprint, a much larger publication, which I believe has even more responsibility to the students. So that concerns me, and I'm interested to know if there are any sort of more details on where this money will be going and why.
I sort of have a similar question. So are there exact numbers on how much money is being paid by how many people now overall? And with it becoming mandatory and lowering the fee, how much money will that amount to in the future? And if that is an increase in overall budget for Imprint, what will that money be used for in detail? I am also a casual Math News writer myself, and I want to note that Math News is like anyone can just show up and to prod night and hang out and write, whereas Imprint seems a little more structured. And yeah, I would like a little more clarification on like how the Imprint fee will benefit each student other than just the magazine exists. Like, is that something that all students can get involved in?
I have a similar question. Like, my main question is,
Does this represent an absolute increase or decrease in the total amount of funding Imprint gets, and if so, by how much?
So I'll just speak to a couple things. I don't really know a lot of the statistics. I'll be honest, I've been writing for Imprint for 3 years, and I agree with Abhiraj that it has given me a lot. And I think it would be rather unfortunate, I think we can all agree, if the university does not have any official student paper. I didn't want to be antagonistic with Math News, but since it's being brought upon, it seems like obviously Math News is not a real journalistic publication. You don't cover a lot of real issues on campus. So it would be unfortunate if a student publication didn't exist. With that being said, it doesn't seem like we are coming with many real numbers, so I understand your concern. I guess I would just say that if we do keep running deficits, then it will be unlikely that we can continue existing. And so to answer one of the questions as well brought forward by MathSoc, or somebody in MathSoc, can anyone get involved with Imprint? Absolutely, you can. We're looking for new writers, we're looking for new editors, and we would love to improve the quality of the publication. So yes, we're very open to people. So.
Hi, I also currently write for Imprint, and last semester was the senior website editor, so I work directly with a lot of our volunteers. So I just wanted to clarify that anyone absolutely can get involved, and many people have who aren't in English, haven't had previous publishing writing experience. I myself had no publishing experience when I got involved, so I just wanted to clarify that everyone is welcome to volunteer, to apply. It's very open, and we love having people walk in our door, which is just downstairs in the basement. So I know sometimes it's hard when there's not a lot of advertising and not a lot of people know about it, but it is something that we want to make more accessible to more students in the future. So I highly encourage everyone to at least look it up, look into the opportunities, even if you're not super excited about paying a fee for us. So thank you.
Hi, so the previous two speakers did bring up what I was going to say, but I just want to reiterate that anyone can, anyone can volunteer for Imprint, and right now, while our fee is mandatory, optional, including people who do opt out. Imprint is, as I stated, basically the nearest equivalent of a journalism school on campus right now. This is where you will learn these skills. This is where people can learn these skills. And as Andy stated, you don't need to be an English major or an art student. I'm a math student myself, and I learned enough at the Imprint that it gave me the skills required to be able to work at a national newspaper like the Toronto Star right now. Also, I want to add, reiterate what Charlie said, that we weren't here to talk about Math News or target them, but since they are bringing themselves into the conversation, Math News is an amazing publication. I love reading it as a math student, it's great. However, when I came in earlier, I talked about what student media does for students, the importance of student media on campus, and Math News is not filling that role on campus. And it's fine, they have their separate mandate, they're doing that, that's great, but because of that, it was also, doesn't make sense for us to compare the two publications or the work the two publications are doing. Again, campus journalism has been, since the 60s, Imprint has been providing that, and we are excited to continue providing that for years, decades, centuries to come.
Whoa. Just 1 second, sorry. To the person with your placard raised, is it a point of order? To call the question, you actually have to get in speaking order, I believe. So if you're wanting to call the question, please get in line. My apologies, but yes. We will continue on with the speaking order. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I have been working for Imprint since 2019, so I've been a long-time member of Imprint. Unfortunately, I am not very familiar with the financials of Imprint, so I can't really speak on behalf of that, but I can probably provide a more personal point of view of the situation. Now, ever since I started working for Imprint, I've been involved in a lot of activities. I had to attend. I had to report on protests where there were threats of counter protesters. I was once stalked by a counter protester, and I was recorded because I was interviewing people. I had to analyze government documents and University of Waterloo financial documents. I had to investigate crimes and interview like a real lawyer. I almost had the cops called on me because I was legally taking pictures of a business after closing, and the security guards were not happy that I was staying there, even though I was within my right. And throughout all of those activities, I was not paid for any of my work, unfortunately. And I think this is sort of unfair for not just me, but for everyone else working at Imprint, putting in hard hours, hard work, hard effort into what we do, when we're basically going out there, potentially risking our safety for me and myself. And I guess for me, it's if we were to pass this motion, I believe it would go, part of it will go into actually funding people's salaries and ensuring that our workers, including myself, will continue getting paid for what we do. Because I feel like if I have to, let's say, risk my safety or analyze government documents in order to produce content, then I feel like I deserve a wage for it.
Hi, folks. Again, my name's Evan. I'm a math news editor. I'm not trying to be antagonistic of Imprint here. I want Imprint to continue publishing, and I want them to have the money they need to continue doing that. I recognize that Imprint has a stronger commitment to journalism than math news and its sort of founding purpose in general. It was surprising, I will say, when Waterloo's Vice President of Communications came by Math News' office a few weeks ago and commended us for the largest Waterloo story of the year, with the M&M Machines story that Imprint broke after us. But in any case, Imprint does provide a lot of value, and I don't think anybody in the room is questioning that. I don't appreciate Math News being scorned by Imprint. What I'll say is I asked a concrete question about how these funds are going to be allocated, where this money is going to go, and why the specific figure was chosen, and I haven't received an answer.
All right. I think Imprint is great. I'm not saying that we shouldn't fund Imprint. I believe that the defunding of student publications is bad and the start of a concerning trend. That being said, what exactly are we funding Imprint for? And I'm not saying that we shouldn't fund it, but I would like to amend the motion. Am I allowed to do that? Okay. I don't have the exact
we'll have to vote
wording.
on that amendment.
But I would like to amend. I don't have the exact wording, but that Imprint editors or whatever you call the people in charge will work with WUSA. I don't know who in WUSA is in charge of that. To make a detailed plan about where the student fees are going and how to address their budget deficits in the future, and provide transparent reports to students about Imprint's finances and how they plan to improve them in the future. An ongoing report and a one-time report about this specific fee change.
Okay. So the amendment is on the floor. Can I have a seconder for that amendment? Sounds good. Okay. 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 Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, I'm gonna invite Tam, who's the next speaker, to maybe give some of the context that we are maybe missing here, just for some general information. The specifics that you are asking for, they do exist, and they have been presented to the board of directors, and there were some various options provided to us, but I'm gonna pass it over to Tam.
Hi folks, my name's Sam. I'm also one of your directors. I'm very sorry for the oversight. We should have given more context for this. But basically, right now, Imprint, this past year, it's been operating on 320K and about a 60K deficit. So, sorry. With the fee decrease, but making it mandatory, right now about 40% of students opt out. So that means the 60% is paying for the other 40% to access Imprint. Which you could argue is fair, not fair, that's up to you to decide. But by making this change, the overall budget would come up to, since it's mandatory, it would come up to 390K, which makes up for the deficit and gives a little bit of room for growth, just for context.
Are we good to go, Catherine? Okay. That would be nice, yeah. You might need a mic though. I cannot see it, no. Be it further resolved that the publication manager work with WUSA to construct a detailed plan regarding how Imprint student fees are allocated and how deficits will be addressed in the future. In particular, this should include a part-time breakdown of how the increase in revenue will be allocated, as well as an ongoing report breaking down Imprint's revenue and expenses. Can I have a seconder? What's your name? Sorry? Thank you. Okay. So this amendment is now on the table for debate. If you have any questions or concerns related specifically to just this amendment, please raise them now. Please come up to the podium, unless it's a point of order.
So, given that this is an amendment with it's a be it further resolved clause, which means that we would still get the fee, the fee would still be made mandatory. I am personally in favor of this. For context, before Imprint was acquired by WUSA a couple of years ago, Imprint did have an annual general meeting of its own where these matters were discussed. So I think most Imprint staff, I'm going to speak for myself, but I'm going to assume that most Imprint staffers would be happy to have this, our budget be transparent. We fight for transparency when we write for WUSA articles, we fight for transparency when we're covering university affairs, we fight for transparencies when we're covering any form of governance or university related thing, and we're happy to hold ourselves to the same standards as well.
Sounds good. Next person in line to speak of just the amendment.
I think this is a good amendment, but I still don't think it's a good idea to raise the fee before we know how it's going to help Imprint. Like, it feels like sort of asking for a mess to do that rather than waiting a little bit to see more concretely how that figure would help before actually doing this. So I think it's a good change, but I think it could have been done better overall.
Okay, next person.
Sorry, just a quick procedural question. What is the majority we need to pass this amendment, and what is the majority we need to pass the whole motion with or without amendment?
It's just a simple majority for both. So 50 plus 1. Okay, next person in line. This is still just talking about the amendment.
Right. So just to be clear, as I mentioned, I do support transparency. I want to reiterate that we do support increasing the motion, changing the motion right now. WUSA board members have a better sense of the finances and they can provide you those details. But as many Imprint staffers, including myself, have come up here and said, one of the areas where the fee is going to go is going to be for paying more volunteers and paying more contributors and staffers at Imprint, so that Imprint can continue to provide quality journalism and actively improve the work that we're doing for this campus. The work that we do at Imprint is very, as people have mentioned, is time consuming. It takes a toll on our other commitments. It affects a lot of things, but we do it because we're passionate about the work. We're passionate about the community, and we're passionate about providing this community the quality journalism that it needs. However, despite and as someone who has been in the role of managing editor before, I want to say that you're working 10, 15 hours a week at a very low pay. People who have been up until last winter, all our section editors used to be unpaid. That was weekly, consistent work on par with a part-time job where people were not being paid for, people were not being appreciated for, but people still continue to do it just for the love of both journalism and this community, and all we're saying is that people deserve to be paid for and appreciated for the work that they're doing.
Yeah, to, I guess, reiterate or hopefully build upon the previous point, I do know that at least some portion of this fee will go towards actually compensating workers, because I believe, and hopefully someone could correct me on this, I think before last semester, all positions in Imprint were unpaid. They were all volunteer. No one, sorry? Except for the managing editor, all positions in Imprint were unpaid before last semester. So everyone who put in hard work, hard skills, hard effort into publishing content, they had to do this for no money, myself included. So all the things I said about me being stalked by people, me having to analyze things, me having to investigate crimes, and just getting stressed over my head, it was all for no money, for no pay. Now I am now on a salary, and I am actually being paid for my work, but I'd like to continue being paid for what I do. And I guess the point I want to say is, even if anyone doesn't read Imprint, they don't care about Imprint, or maybe they prefer Math News over Imprint, at least I hope that people could at least understand that there are real people working behind the scenes at Imprint, and they are putting in lots of hours, they're putting in lots of work, and they're possibly even risking their own safety just to produce content. And I think the efforts of me and everyone else working at Imprint deserves to be compensated.
Okay, for the two people with their hands up, I'm assuming they are points of order? Okay, are you a point of order? Pardon? I can't hear you. What's your point of information? That is a good question. I don't know. After. Okay. Okay. I'm going to run you the microphone. Please repeat your question.
My question was, did Imprint start running a deficit before or after they started paying their writers? And I believe the response was only after.
That is correct. Yes, only after.
Okay, I have a procedural question about voting. Thank you, Imprint writers, for everything that you do, but given that Imprint writers will derive financial benefit directly from this motion, should they declare conflicts of interest and abstain from voting?
I think that's reasonable. Yes, Abraj? You want to come up and speak into the microphone?
Just to be clear, I'm graduating. At least two of the other speakers are graduating. We're not going to be affected by this. Our staff changes every term, so any of the other staff may not be on staff. And the thing is, the current staff is already getting paid. We want to expand that. We want to be able to provide more people the opportunity to do that. My issue, again, my issue is not the unpaid work. I mean, to some extent it is, but it's not so much the unpaid work that I have done. Is that anyone else doing the same work that I'm doing today, tomorrow, 20, 30, 50, 100 years down the line is getting paid. And this is where it begins. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other comments with regards to the amendment? Not seeing any. We're going to go ahead with the voting. I'm going to look at Catherine, and she's going to tell me when I'm go ahead to vote just on the amendment. So voting in favor means you're in favor of the amendment being added to the original motion. Against, you want the original motion as it was originally written. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your placards. Okay. Thank you. You can put your placards down now. And all those opposed to the amendment, please raise your placards. Not seeing any, so I'm going to call that as the amendment passing. Okay. So we are getting back to discussion on the now amended motion, so we will go back to the original speakers list. Go ahead, sir.
I'm not opposed to there being a newspaper on campus. What I am opposed to, however, is there being a compulsory fee. You say that 60% of the population pays the fee. I also believe you said your pickup rate's typically 40%. I don't think there's necessarily really a free rider problem there. If there are more people paying you, then there are people who are actually taking it up. It seems like making this a compulsory fee would just unduly burden that 40% of the population that opts out. I also somewhat take issue with, someone said it's a lot of effort being part of Imprint. I don't deny that. What I do take issue with, though, is that there are many other teams, design teams, clubs, whatnot, where working in it is a significant effort. And they're not compensated either. I think it's unfair that Imprint, the writers and whatnot, would be compensated for that. I also, to a certain extent, this seems like some level of self-enrichment. So I'm opposed on those reasons.
Hey everyone. I think it's safe to say we've pretty well exhausted this topic, but there's two things the money is going to. The first is it's going to the cost of printing. because obviously it takes more money to print a magazine than it does a newspaper. So there's your first item. Second item is it's going to paying the student writers. Just want to throw it there, and it's been said around in bits and pieces, that's where the fee increase is going to. I hope that clears it up. For frame of reference, I've got a lovely little chart. I wish I could show you guys, but in case you're curious, Western, Queens, this is just for reference, Western, Queens, McMaster, Ottawa, and Carleton all have mandatory fees. And for reference, we pay more than U of T, Carleton, and Ottawa, but we pay less, and these are mandatory fees, less than McMaster, TMU, Queens, and Western, with Western being $18.50. Just to put that into context, we're looking at doing $5.40 for Waterloo. Just some numbers to think about. I hope that's cleared some stuff up. Thank you.
I move to call the question. I think that's what it is. We need to vote on this now.
Before you call the question, are there any other comments? Because if there aren't any other comments, then it's not worth doing the vote, I'd say. Okay, not seeing, what's your hand? Okay. Brian's gonna run you a mic, so give us 1 second.
Does the Western fee go towards all student publications or just their singular student, official student newspaper? Because I was under the impression it goes towards all student publications.
You would have to ask Western.
I do not know if we know off the top of our head the answer to that question. Okay. Okay. Not seeing any other points, we're going to go ahead to the question then. Okay. Let me know when we're ready, Catherine. It was a point of order, I believe. Or point of information, sorry. Okay. All those in favor, please raise your placards. Okay, I think you can go ahead and lower your placards now. Sure. Okay, all those opposed, please raise your placards. You guys can go ahead and lower your placards. So that's 105 for the motion and 54 against. So the motion is passed. Okay, so that brings us on to our next item, number 6.3. So be it resolved that the student life fee be increased by $1.67 starting in the next academic year and $3 starting in the 2025-2026 academic year for the purpose of improving WUSA events programming. So I have Tham as the mover for this one. Can I have a seconder for that? Alex? Okay. Tham, are you wanting to speak to the motion to start with?
I'm back. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for staying so long tonight. We are an hour over time. WUSA hears you when everyone says that you want bigger events, you want better events, and you want more frequent events. Unfortunately, WUSA's current events budget is about $200K across 3 terms with about $15K to 20,000 students a term. That's a lot of students, that's a lot of time, and having events costs a lot of money, and it's not getting us very far. For reference, other schools on average tend to have about a $400,000 events budget, and they do that across 2 terms because they don't have co-op the way we do. So clearly, we are lacking a little bit. Hence the fee increase. We want to give you bigger, cooler events. We hear you when you say you want a concert, and we want to give you things like concerts. We want to give you more events. Trivia nights are great. Shout out to trivia nights. But we want more variety. So in comes this motion. So we'll start with $1. We want to show you what we can do, get that ball rolling. And that would be for the upcoming fall, winter, spring. And then after that, it would go up by $3 to really get those big, cool events that you guys want.
Sound good. Alex, are you wanting to speak to the motion anyway, or are you just wanting to pass? You're good? Okay. It is now question open to everyone. Please, if you're wanting to ask a question, please come up to the front.
Hello, everyone. I have 2 questions, I guess. Yeah, I've been involved with events on campus for basically my entire university life. And so first of all, I just want to ask if WUSA has any particular plans for maybe a singular concert that they have that they want to do, or something specific, like ways in which they want to spend this money. And so I just would like to know if there's any concrete actions, like maybe you have a plan to bring in a big act. So that would be my first question. Like, I'd like to know more about where you're going to spend this money exactly. And the second question I have is if maybe, like, have we thought about, instead of funding WUSA events, instead trying to help club events more? Because from my perspective, I think clubs do a lot more to support events on campus than WUSA does. So.
I would like to raise the question as to whether it has been considered that some people are already struggling with finances, and increasing these fees and having them be mandatory could result in people not being able to attend university, or having to skip food for a period of time, or any other financial burden. I just want to know if that has been considered, because I feel like that is an important thing to consider in this motion, I guess. Yeah.
Hi, sorry, just a question. So the proposal is twofold: an original fee increase of $1 followed at some point later by an increase of $3. Did I hear that correctly?
It is the $1.67 for the 2024-25 academic year. So that increase would start in the fall term and go for 3 semesters. And then the subsequent $3 increase would be the year following. So it would be 2025 fall through to 2026 spring.
Is it possible to propose an amendment to split that into 2 separate votes?
It is actually,
okay.
Yes.
Then I propose such an amendment.
Okay. So the amendment on the floor is to split that into two separate votes.
Sorry, not by votes. I meant like they'd have to come back later and ask for the extra
Oh,
money.
okay.
That's what I meant.
Okay, so then you're just amending to strike that second part of the motion, generally speaking. Sounds good.
I think it's a bit odd that you come here and say, we want $1 to show you what we can do with it, and then be like, okay, we're immediately going to have a planned increase to, what, another $1.60? It seems a bit absurd.
Okay. Are we good to go ahead, Catherine? I'm waiting if I can get a seconder for this amended motion. Okay, well, Charlie's wanting to second it, so we will assume that the spirit is that you're only wanting the one increase. Okay? So.
I don't think I have anything more to say. Speak really loud.
Okay, so question is now open for this second amendment. And so if you have questions, comments with regards to this specific amendment, please come up. Okay, I am not seeing any. I'm not sure if you're just doing donuts? Okay. Okay, so then I guess the question will be called. Let me know, Catherine, when you're ready online for the vote on this amendment. So just for clarification, if you're voting in favor of this amendment, it is to strike the second part of the fee, so it would just be a 167 starting in the 2024-25 academic year. If you vote down this amendment, then you are voting to keep the $3 as part of the motion. Okay. All those in favor of the amendment as presented, please raise your placards. I think that's pretty conclusive. Please lower your placards, everyone. And just to be sure, anyone opposed to the amendment, please raise your placard. So yeah, not seeing anything there. So the motion passes, and we are back on the now amended motion that is on the floor. So next person in speaker's turn, please go ahead.
I move to call the question. This is
Okay.
late night. We should get voting.
Sounds good. So the question has been called. Let me know, Catherine, when you are ready to go, and we will go right into things. A seconder is also needed for that, by the way, so I'd like a second first. Take you again. Okay, so we are calling the question. So this is a motion on whether to end debate. So it does need 2/3 majority in order to pass. So please raise your placard if you are in favor of ending debate. Okay, I think you can all lower your placards. Please raise your placards if you are against ending debate. So I think it's pretty conclusive. Debate has ended, and we will now be voting on the motion as now amended. Catherine, let us know when we are ready to vote on that. Okay. All those in favor, please raise your placards. All those who are in favor of the amended motion, so that is now the $1.67 increase, please raise your placards. Okay, you can lower your placards. For the sake of time, I'm going to say that we have received how many in favor, Brian? 100? I'm going to say for the sake of argument that that passes. Okay, so that brings us on to our next item of business, item 7, which is be it resolved that the general meeting receive the audited financial statements for the 2022-23 financial year as presented. Can I have a mover for that item, please? Thumb. Can I have a seconder for that? Alex? Okay. So the audited financial statements are available online for those of you who haven't got a chance to take a look yet. I'm not sure if Narayan is on the Teams meeting call to maybe a quick 3-minute thing about the audited financial statements. Else? Sounds good. So we'll have a 3-minute presentation, and then it will be open to any questions, and then we will go to voting. While they are looking into that, I'm going to jump to item 8 quickly because there's no actual motions on those. So just general updates on some previous motions that have come to general meetings before this one. So one of them, the update on the goose statue. So for those of you who weren't aware, a couple years ago, a motion was brought forward to have WUSA build a goose statue somewhere on campus. So the budget for this project has been approved, and they've hired an artist to construct the statue, and they're hoping sometime in the spring 2024 term, and then it will be down in the PAC parking lot over there. So keep your eyes out. Are there any questions with regards to that? Not seeing any. Update on the recording studio. Last general meeting, motion came forward with regards to the fact that WUSA should build a recording studio brought forward by Gem Networks. Since that point, there have been a survey sent out with a few questions with regards to that, and there is a more conclusive survey that is going to be currently under construction that is going to go out sometime this year to get some better ideas of what the student need is. Are there any questions with regards to that update? Not seeing any. Last update on the athletics fee report. So again, last general meeting, somebody had come forward requesting that the athletics fee be made non-mandatory, be made optional, to which the amendment was, or the motion was then amended to make it state that a survey or report would be taken up by WUSA and then reported to the general meeting at a later date. So the report is currently under work still. And it is something that hopefully by the next general meeting we will have be ready to present. Are there any questions with regards to that? Not seeing any. I know it is getting late, so I apologize for that, but hopefully if Narayan is online and ready to do a quick 2-minute presentation.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. I don't know if he's watching the YouTube. Can maybe someone put in the chat that yes, we can hear him?
Good evening. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear
Hi.
us?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. My name is Narayan Chatterjee. I am your financial controller and taking care of your accounting and finance department. Today, I am here to present Audit 2023 financials. So, in order to present Audit 2023 financials, I like to highlight on these three areas. Statement of operations, that is income statement, statement of financial positions, that is balance sheet, and some financial highlights. So this is the audited statement of operations. Statement of operations shows the results of our operations for the year, that is whether we had a surplus or loss for the year. The fiscal year that we are talking about, 2023, it starts from May 1st and ends April 30th, 2023. It includes all the revenues that we collected, all the expense we expensed, and the bottom line, and that is called surplus or loss for the year. If you see the statements, you see that there is so many different funds, like general fund, then dental fund, health fund, legal fund, capital fund, UPAS fund, orientation fund, SRP fund, publication fund, and societies fund. Something. Okay, so it is echoing again. Yeah, like general fund, basically our main activities, and okay.
Okay, I'm going to be passing it over to Suzanne, our executive director, to maybe move these things along.
Thank you. Thanks. Once we get them back up. Okay, thank you. So the income statement shows, as Narayan indicated, the results of the operations for the past year, and he just went through each of those funds.
Let's talk about
general fund. Okay.
General fund, it covers our main activities. All monies are free to spend, as we as a corporation feel justified to expense. All our operations of our commercial services all our commercial operations such as flock stop, dispensary, used bookstore, service kitchen falls under this general fund category. This is our statement of financial positions, and it shows under general.
As we're sorting that out, I'll just also mention that last year's audited financial statements are up on our website. We did not have quorum last year and they were not presented, so please also feel free to have a look at those. And if you have any questions, to email Narayan, whose name and email is up there. You're welcome also to communicate with myself. Okay, so we're back at the income statement. I think Narayan has actually gone through this now. So if we want to go to our balance sheet, which is basically our net worth as an organization since we incorporated in 1967. Again, separated in all of our funds as the funds are restricted in their use. So dental can only be used for dental, health can only be used for health, etc. And if you want to go on to the last slide there. So overall, WUSA's financial highlights. In 2022, our net revenue was almost $10 million, and in 2023, this revenue is $16.8 million. Our total assets were $26 million in 2022 and are now up to $39.2 million. Overall liabilities are just over $12 million, and those are increased as well to $20.9 million. And then our net assets were $14 million in 2022, and in 2023 they are $18.2 million. So thank you for your time from Narayan as well as myself. I think he's noted at the bottom there that you can have a look both at 2022 as well as 2023's results. And if you have any questions and you want to reach out, please feel free to email him. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Suzanne, for that. Okay, are there any questions or concerns with regards to the audited financial statement? Okay, not seeing any. We're going to go right to voting. Catherine, please let me know when we are ready. Go ahead. Please raise your placards if you're in favor of approving the audited financial statements. Receiving, sorry. Okay, and lower your placards. And all those who are opposed, please raise your placards. Okay, we're going to count that as having passed. What is your point of order? Okay, yeah. I thought I called voting closed in favor. Okay. My apologies. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. All right, perfect. Thank you. I really thank you for everyone that has stuck with us through this very long night. And I'm supposed to speak on 9.5, but due to the learns and like I'm right now having a little bit of abdominal pain right now, so I don't know how long I can hold through until the end of the meeting. But my motion is on housing issues, and especially a lot of illegal housing disputes faced by UW students after they move out of rental corporation. It is the only motion that is focused on housing in tonight's meeting, and I feel like everyone in here has at least, faced the problem whether they should rent, who they should rent with, right? And I hope that this motion will be very relevant to everybody sitting here, and everyone that's online that has been waiting for me to speak. And my seconder has left because like he has something else, but like, yeah, okay, thank you so much. But I would like just to hopefully move this motion up the order to the next item so I have enough energy and I put my best foot forward to answer everybody's questions. And I would really, really appreciate this. I thank you, Matthew. I think you are speaking on 9.2. And I thank you, Ben. I think you're speaking on 9.1. If you guys can vote in favor of this order amendment, that would be really great. Thank you so much.
Okay. I'm assuming then that the motion then on the floor is moving item, I believe it's 9.3, which is the one on development of housing market resources above whatever item we're on now. 7.2, thank you, and discussing it first. Okay, can I have a seconder for that motion? Okay, thank you, Tham. Is there any discussion on this motion? Not seeing any, we're gonna go right to the vote then. Let me know when we're ready, Catherine. Item on suspending the rules and moving item 9.3 above 7.2. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your placards. Okay, please lower your placards. All those opposed, please raise your placards. Okay, so we will then be moving on to item 9.3. I have Molly as the mover. Can I have a seconder for that item? Alex. So, Molly, if you're wanting to speak to the motion.
All right, thank you everyone for being here and everyone that's watching me online that has stuck with us for so long, and I really appreciate your presence tonight. And I want to bring your attention to this issue because I believe this motion, right now the projector's not working, but if you go online, it is the first formal motion towards housing, especially regarding resources moving out. So there's a lot of resources, I think, on the off-campus leasing website on Waterloo, but most of it are related to signing a lease and what do you expect when you're reading the leasing clauses. There's absolutely none of it that tells you how to deal with an illegal housing dispute after you've moved out. And so in my case, I rented with this rental corporation that's basically had a monopoly in the Waterloo market. I will not disclose the name. But after I moved out, they actually hired a collection agent to chase after me, and the amount is $1,365. And I'm not the only person. Throughout my half a year dealing with this rental corporation that has been very slow and not very responsive, as well as the collection agent which has harassed me 3 times over phone and email and has disregarded my clear legal demands to stop email. So all of this are faced by me and other 30 international students in my community this year. And also on Reddit post, if you go to 2024, there's at least 5 to 6, and I assume those are domestic students also facing similar charges. And this damage charge is only one part of the problem. There are many other ones, such as cleaning fees that somehow gets deducted when they do their move-out inspection. There are also other ones, such as not returning key deposit unless you email them, and all of these things. And so I really wish that this motion, it will help to implement a more comprehensive guide. And currently I'm compiling that resources myself by calling Consumer Protection Agency into how to deal with collection agent. And also, you know, in my own time, scrambling through 30 plus Reddit posts to figure out what resources are there, right? I don't want anybody to go through a similar experience as I have. And I know that some of you sitting here today are probably renting or probably maybe need to rent in the future. And I just want this resource to be available to the current students and future students. And so yeah, that's hence the first motion, so that we should implement more resource, and especially legal resources. So currently, the only legal resource I found helpful in helping me with my legal battle is a student care legal consultation. But every time my lawyer is like 20 minutes late to my appointment. But anyway, that's a different issue. I appreciate there are some resources out here, but there should be more, especially relevant regulation. It's not very hard to implement, and I can help with that too. And the second thing is that this has been a systemic issues and could happen to anyone, literally. Like if you have had this interaction with rental corporation, and if you look back into the Reddit histories, I know Reddit is not a very official resource, but for people dating back to 5 years ago, like at least I would say these 2 to 3 years, this has been happening every year to students similar like you, like me. And I think it's unfair. This needs to be addressed. And especially for international student who doesn't own a home in this place. Their only resort is to, a lot of times, rental corporations. And they're vulnerable and susceptible to these type of illegal housing scams that has happened consistently over the past couple years. So that's why I want to bring the second motion. I thank you, Matthew, for helping me revert all of this into a very formal language. And that's why I think there should be enough awareness from WUSA as well as the University of Waterloo. So thank you so much for listening to me. I open the floor for any questions and amendments.
Sounds good. Are there any other questions? Please come up and speak into the microphone if you could.
Can I provide info as the seconder? Or is
Yes.
that for later?
Yep, no, you can, go ahead. Unless yeah, go ahead.
Is that okay? I'll make this super fast in the interest of time. Just for context, 2 things that just went up. So just last week, on what WUSA is doing, I'm just going to throw this out. Last week, the housing playbook went live. The purpose of this page, you can find it online. The purpose of this page is to provide UWaterloo undergrads with tools that can help them as they navigate local housing concerns with renting apartments, rooms, and homes. Some of the information on this page is specific to the city of Waterloo, but much of it is applicable throughout the entire region. So regardless of where you're living, we do encourage you to check out the housing playbook, which was drafted up with a bunch of lawyers. It covers tenant rights, rent, deposits, other charges, invalid clauses, rights and obligations, leasing information, and local and provincial resources on where to go further. There's also, we've done more work specifically with UWaterloo website. We've tried to build up and reimagine what they're providing and tried to give them an undergrad perspective to build their website forward by using more undergrads. And there's also housing legal aid sessions, which are a good place to start. You can check these out online in the calendar. It's a chance for you to come in, voice your specific decision, and go further. I just want to reiterate there's absolutely no harm whatsoever in passing this motion. I just want to share some things that WUSA is already doing and to serve as a good starting point for going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Are there any other comments, questions, concerns with regards to this item? Not seeing any. I guess we will go straight to voting. Catherine, let me know when we are ready. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your placards. Okay, I think that's most people. Go ahead and lower your placards. Okay, so moving back to item 7.2 then. If I can find it. Okay, so item 7.2 is the reappointment of the auditors for WUSA. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that item? What is your point of order, sir? The updates have sort of already been given. I would argue, I plead with everyone here that we please just get through the financial, because this is like the legal thing that we have to do as a corporation. And I don't want we to get through member motions and then everyone to disappear and we haven't done the one thing we legally have to do. This is the last of it, so I promise. Let's just get through this, please. You don't even have to talk about it. Just vote. Okay, my apologies. We will go back. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Them and Alex. Any discussion? Not seeing any. Very good. Okay. Tell me when. Are we ready to go, Catherine? Okay. Please, everyone, raise your placards if you're in favor of this motion. Okay, thank you. I think we're good. You can all lower your placards. Okay, so updates. I gave those earlier. If anyone has any questions about the updates, more information is available online through the same link that you access the agenda. I'm just going to pass it over to Charlie real quick, who wanted just 30 seconds to give an update on item 8.2, which is the recording studio.
Last year, we presented a motion to look into the interest and feasibility of creating a sound studio on campus. This would be a high technology studio, similar to what Waterloo espouses in other fields. It will likely be an SLC. We're still looking for that. We're not proposing a motion right now, but I just wanted to tell anyone who is still wondering about how it's going. You might have heard we had a survey result where we heard that 27% of students were interested in using the space, which is a substantial amount. I would just encourage you to get excited about the space, because if we build this, it'll make Waterloo a better place, I think, not just for musicians, but for podcasters, academics who want to utilize the audio, Imprint, many other groups. And so for future general meetings, look out for a motion bringing that forward more. So thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions with regards to any of the other updates? Not seeing any. Okay, is Ben Woodward here by chance? I'm not seeing anything. So Ben Woodward did submit item 9.1, but in order to move a motion, you do have to show up in person to the meeting. So because he is not here, sadly, I do have to disregard his motion. No, there is not. It is based on the law, based on the Ontario Not-for-Profit Corporations Act, it is not. He could have, if he proxied his vote, whoever he proxied his vote to would be able to speak on it, but he did not. So, if he is online. Are you online? Thank you for that, Matthew. Okay, so with that being said, I am going to move past this motion, and we'll move on to the next one, if that is okay. Yep, go ahead.
Could someone else just motion this? Because technically it would be the same as bringing up a new motion, right?
But even bringing up a new motion is not allowed under ANCA. New motions aren't allowed. Okay, so I'm moving on to our next item then, which is item 9.2. So item 9.2, removal of requirements from WUSA clubs' constitutions. Be it resolved that the Assembly authorizes the Board to instruct WUSA clubs to remove the excerpt that an executive can only hold office, any position, for a total of up to 3 terms under the election process section of the WUSA club's constitution. So this is moved by Matthew. Can I have a seconder for that item? Can I get your name, sorry? Josh. Sounds good. And go ahead, Matthew.
Hi, my name is Matthew, and last term me and some students restarted the University of Waterloo Conservative Club, and so during that process we had to create a constitution, and so going through all the constitution documents that WUSA requires you to put into your constitution, I came across a line that said any executive on your board can only be an executive for 3 terms only, and so I'm a little concerned about that with smaller clubs who may not have a big student base to continue on with new executives if there's not new students joining and that kind of thing. So I would like to remove this piece from the club's constitution so that any executive can continue to be elected by the student membership and to keep supporting their clubs throughout the activity of the club, and so I would like this motion to be passed. Thank you.
Sounds good. Josh, are you wanting to speak second, or are you just going to pass? Okay, sounds good. Go ahead, Pam.
Hello, I'm here to give some context. The way this actual line is enforced is 3 consecutive terms to give opportunities to other students and to allow clubs to be sustained a little longer. And in the past, we have given grace periods as needed on a case-by-case basis. But the principle is that clubs shouldn't just be for one person and their friends. I recognize that that might be harder for smaller clubs that want to sustain themselves, but we want to also have that protection for our bigger clubs so that it's not just one person over and over.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm sure some other people might have noticed that as well. Certain clubs do not even like try to reach out to, you know, a larger group than they're like happy with their like small membership number required to make sure that they're active every term. And I think at least this is like one thing which ensures that clubs will try to actively ensure, try to reach out to a larger membership base. So I personally think we should let this requirement remain. And also, WUSA should be looking into this requirement because there are definitely lots of clubs who are in violation of this.
Sounds good. Next person in line.
Oh my goodness. I'd like to call the question.
Are there any other, before we call the question, are there any other points after that? Okay, well, then we're calling the question. Okay. Okay. Matthew, let me know when we are ready to call the question. First, actually, can I have a seconder for that motion? Alex, thank you. So once again, this is just a motion to end debate. Voting in favor just means that you want to end debate and vote on the motion as it is presented. Voting against means you want debate to continue. Okay, please raise your placard if you are for ending debate. It is a call to question, so to end debate. That might be close. Okay, I can't. Maybe we can.
Yes, plus 18.
Okay. I think that might not be close then. Please, everyone lower your placards. All those opposed to ending debate, please raise your placards. Yeah, much less. So, okay. I'm going to take it as debate has been closed, and we are now voting on the motion as it is presented. So, Catherine, let me know when we are ready. Okay, so raise your placard if you are in favor of the motion. So in favor of the motion, which is, be it resolved, the Assembly authorize the board to instruct WUSA clubs to remove this exemption. So in favor of the motion means you're in favor of it being removed from the club's manual. So that's 46-4 plus the people online. Okay, please raise your placard if you are against this motion. Opposed. So you think that the club's manual should stay the way that it currently is? Are we over 46, Brian? Yeah. Okay, the motion fails. So the motion fails. So we are on to then item 9.4. So item 9.4, the establishment of a club event calendar. So be it resolved that WUSA commits to exploring options for centralized digital space for students to publish club events through consulting directly with student developers. So this is motion by Justin. Can I have a second for it? Can I have your name? Emma, thank you. So Justin, if you wanted to speak, I don't know if that microphone is on. That microphone is not on. Brian will.
In my part-time. Very good, Brian. Hello? Can I take this off? Okay. Hello, everyone. I know it's been a really long evening, so I try to keep this short, keep this brief. My conversation here really is just about making clubs more accessible, making their events more accessible for students, and helping students find their spaces outside of just their classrooms and homes, right? And so my hope is that one day we can live in like a livelier campus where students can connect with their people and find their spaces outside of just their homes and classrooms, and students can effortlessly see all their campus events in one place. And students can also be encouraged to join exciting new events, and they have a simple and reliable way of communicating their events and details. And so over the past 3 months, I've been collaborating with a really small group of clubs, less than 10 right now, to publish their events in a digital space, right? A centralized space where people can view all their events. And it's only a really small group right now, but they've already published more than 20 events in this space, none of which were on a platform anywhere else, right? And so I really saw the potential of this, and we're asking for WUSA to support students who are passionate about this issue and are actively working to better it in a goal to create a centralized space to advertise all events. So think of like just a calendar system where you can view all club events happening on a given day or seek specific clubs that match your interests, your availability, and your commitment. And I want this project to be student focused so that it can put the consideration of student life and student culture first, right? It's because it's really not just a way for clubs to reach out to people interested in their events, but it's for students to be equipped with the tools and resources they need to build connections within their campus and find their people. So with WUSA's help, we can really work on expanding this project to encompass even more WUSA clubs, and maybe even consider faculty society events or integrating it seamlessly with the current WUSA club systems. And I'll pass it to Emma to talk a little more about this.
Hi, I helped work with Justin on kind of getting this together. So I want to talk a little bit about why a system like this is so important. A very quick example is if any of you guys have visited the University of Waterloo subreddit, it's really depressing. A lot of students are always talking about how like sad they are, how they feel they haven't made any genuine connections, how they feel it's hard to make friends out between school and work and everything else. And this is actually what helped inspire us and make us really passionate about this as an issue. Right now, we're having a pretty big problem with student atomization. The bubble of students that we're interacting with on a day-to-day basis just gets smaller and smaller because we have no place to go and interact with them and socialize. And it's difficult for us to find those people, find those spaces. So when we make club events more accessible for students, we're allowing students and empowering them and encouraging them to get out there in their community, to talk to people, to find people with different faculties and different majors, and different interests, and just engage with them and engage with our society and community in a good way.
Okay. If you're wanting to speak to it, go ahead. Okay. I don't think there is anyone else wanting to speak, so yeah, we'll go ahead and go right to voting for that item. Let me know when. Are we ready, Catherine? Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your placards. Okay. You guys can go ahead and put your placards down. I think the motion is adopted. Okay, so that brings us now to item 9.6. So just 2 more to go, guys, you know. Okay, so number 9.6. So be it resolved that the Assembly support the Board of Directors in exercising its power to appoint Arya Razmaju to the officer position with the general duties of the Vice President and as the Director of the Board ex officio. I'd like to call on Nick to maybe amend this motion as he had spoken to me earlier.
Hello. Welcome to the hopefully second last motion of our general meeting today. I hope we're all feeling lively and chipper. Yeah, so just as a bit of background on what's going on here. We had an election recently. I hope you all voted. We also didn't have a VP position. So internally, we thought it's probably a good idea to make sure our executive team isn't just me. So the process we went about to do this is internally we met with the board of directors that you guys ratified earlier, and we came to a decision that we think Arya is the best choice for the position. Though I do have a couple of things that people would like to have said. Attached to the document you can also find our specific votes. We settled on Arya with a vote of 5-4, and because Arya had more votes in the general election, we decided to give him the advantage in case of a tie. So there was a strong preference for Arya, but it was still close because we thought both gentlemen could do an excellent job. For Arya himself, the incoming board felt that we should say that Arya identifies some of the issues within WUSA well, and his ideas for fairly managing internal conflicts and relationships and handling them as appropriate are excellent, and I believe that they deserve to be implemented. He has a keen understanding of procedure and has represented WUSA well to WUSA, which is an Ontario organization. Through conference organizing, as well as his experience working in government, Arya is well positioned to take on the traditional role of vice president, one that benefits from his attention to detail and interaction with the province. In addition to his experience, his passion and genuine effort in contributing to the campus community have been seen and felt by student groups he leads and works as a part of. Through fresh ideas, an unwavering moral fiber, and genuine dedication, Arya will ensure WUSA works to serve students, not just itself. Bold ideas, a strong moral compass, and commitment are what WUSA and students need most at this time. Several members of the incoming board of directors believe that Arya would serve as a true, no-nonsense voice for the student body, both on campus and beyond. And just so that Raphael, who I do not think is here today, is also well understood. To the matter of Raphael, we felt that if we were to go with him, we would have been recommending him on the basis of him being consistently proving his dedication to justice and reform. Raphael would have made an excellent vice president. He has shown incredible commitment to underrepresented and underserved student communities on campus, devoting care and effort into building long-term relationships and trust with student advocacy groups. With WUSAs regarded as out of touch with student needs, student representatives like Raphael are critical to ensure WUSA is always working at the best interest of students. Students' trust goes beyond WUSA as a body, and Raphael has shown not only his passion for representing student voice, but also in building this trust ground level with himself as an individual. Throughout his campaign and within personal discussions with him, he has consistently advocated for improved accessibility and financial equity for all walks of student life, and continues to do so beyond the election. He brings an honest and empathetic perspective to advocacy that would set him apart as a genuine voice wholly committed to serving our student body. While we have narrowly recommended Arya to the role of Vice President, both candidates have shown themselves to be individuals worthy of the title. I will ask that you vote in favor of this motion so that we are able to have someone who serves in a role as effectively the Vice President. And then just before we get to the red, it was an update because we should also make sure that he gets training because, like, you know, that would be important.
Okay, so to my understanding, you're officially amending it to include something along those lines?
Yeah, the amendment is in red and should be on your screens. I did that sneakily while you were busy, Rory.
Oh, look at you. Okay. So I have Nick as the mover. Can I have a seconder for this now amended item? Alex? Are there any comments, questions, concerns, things that people want to raise? Okay, not seeing any. Then we will go right to a vote. All those in favor, please raise your, I'll wait for Catherine's confirmation. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your placards. I think that should be most people. If you go ahead and lower your placards. Anyone opposed, please raise your placards.
Yeah.
Yeah, not seeing any, so I'm going to call that as having been passed. Okay, that brings us on to the last motion of the night, also from Nick. Be it resolved, the Assembly authorizes board to instruct the lawyers to amend Section 9 of the bylaws to read, and then what it says on there. I'm not going to read it out. So the mover is Nick. Can I have a seconder for that one, please? Okay. Are there any comments, questions, concerns that people would like to raise at this time? Okay, I am not seeing any. Okay, so then the question will be on the table then. Let me know when we are ready, Catherine. Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please raise your placards. I think that is pretty much everyone, so please lower your placards. And just to be safe, all those opposed, please raise your placards. Alex is just not happy today.
No, there's one proxy there, Rory.
Yeah. Okay, so that passes. Okay, so that was everything on the agenda. I'd like to call this meeting to close at 9:06 p.m. Okay, thank you all for coming out. I encourage you to come in future years, but I also encourage you guys to go home and get some sleep now. We would like some volunteers or some board members to help pack up when to help clean up. If you could, please stack your chairs if possible.